Welcome to Underdog Motivation. Life has a way of keeping score in ways we don't always see. Yesterday leaves footprints in our minds, heavy and unyielding, and too often we carry them like chains, dragging regrets, mistakes, and missed chances behind us. But here's the truth. Yesterday is gone. It has no claim over today. The choices you make now, the courage you summon now, the fire you decide to ignite now, those are the things that define who you are. Nothing from the past can take that away. Letting go of the past is one of the hardest things you will ever be asked to do, because it does not just live in memory. It lives in the way you carry yourself, in the weight on your shoulders, in the quiet moments when doubt creeps in and whispers that you are still tied to yesterday. You wake up thinking about the things you could have done differently, the words you wish you hadn't spoken, the chances you let slip, and before you know it, your mind becomes a prison built from your own regrets. But the truth is, nothing you did before this moment can define the life you are about to create. Holding on to yesterday is a choice, and the moment you realize it, freedom begins. There is a strange power in understanding that the past only has power if you give it authority, that every mistake, every failure, every disappointment is merely a lesson waiting to be learned, not a sentence waiting to be served. People carry ghosts from old arguments, old relationships, old ambitions that never came to life, as if those ghosts have the right to haunt their present. But the present cannot thrive in the company of chains from yesterday. To let go is not to forget. It is not to erase memory or deny experience. It is to stop letting those memories dictate your decisions, to stop letting them whisper that you are not enough, that you are broken, that you have failed too many times to start again. Every day you wake up, you have the chance to reset, to stand taller than the person who clings to yesterday, to refuse the burden that no longer serves you, and the weight of what you leave behind will surprise you. You will realize how much energy you were giving to things that cannot come back, to people who were never yours to hold, to outcomes that were never guaranteed. And when you release that weight, you step into a space that allows clarity to grow, focus to sharpen, and courage to rise. There is an unmistakable strength in walking away from old mistakes, in refusing to replay them endlessly in your mind, in choosing today over the chains of what has already passed. Every setback, every disappointment, every failure you once thought defined you becomes a teacher instead of a jailer. You begin to see patterns, not scars. You see lessons, not loss. And in that recognition, you find the ability to act differently, to respond rather than react, to shape your life with intention rather than being led by the echoes of what cannot be changed. Letting go of the past requires honesty, humility, and bravery. It requires staring at the versions of yourself that you wish you could undo and saying, "I acknowledge you, I respect you, but I will not let you control me anymore." It requires the willingness to accept responsibility where needed, to forgive yourself where necessary, and to move forward even when the weight of yesterday presses against your chest like a stone. And the truth is, the moment you finally release it, when you step into today with open hands and an unburdened heart, the world begins to move differently around you. Opportunities that were invisible appear, relationships that were stagnant grow, and the fire inside you that had been smothered begins to burn bright again. You begin to understand that letting go is not about loss at all. It is about reclaiming power, reclaiming identity, reclaiming life that has always been yours to live if only you could stop letting the past dictate who you are now. Your worth is never measured by what you own, by the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the size of your house, or the numbers on your bank account. Those things are fleeting, temporary, and fragile. They can be taken, lost, or left behind, and the moment they are gone, many people panic because they have tied their identity to something external that can never truly define them. But true value, real, unshakable worth, lives inside. It lives in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the discipline you carry when life is hard, in the courage you summon when fear whispers that you cannot continue. It is not found in applause, validation, or recognition. It is found in the quiet moments when you stay true to yourself despite pressure, in the moments when you rise even when circumstances say to fall, in the moments when you keep your word to yourself even if the world doubts you. People will try to convince you that their standards measure your value, that their perception of success is what defines who you are. But those standards are fleeting and shallow, and only distract you from the truth. Your worth is not given, it is claimed. It is discovered by living intentionally, by showing up when it is hard, by refusing to bend under the weight of what others think you should be. There is a strength in understanding that when everything external is stripped away, what remains is the core of who you are. When money disappears, when titles vanish, when relationships crumble, what survives is not the things that can be taken. It is your character, your integrity, your resilience, your capacity to endure. That is what is truly valuable. That is what cannot be measured, cannot be stolen, and cannot be diminished. You are more than the sum of your possessions. You are the sum of your choices, your actions, your discipline, and your heart. It is easy to forget this when the world is loud, when everyone around you is obsessed with status, recognition, and material markers. But those things are shadows, reflections that can never replace the substance inside. Worth is built over time through trials, through sacrifices, through the unglamorous grind that no one notices but everyone will eventually feel in your presence. When you make a decision based on principle rather than convenience, when you act from courage rather than fear, when you love even when it is hard, that is the currency of true value. It grows silently, invisibly, and becomes unshakable because it is rooted not in circumstance but in essence. And the beauty is this: the moment you recognize that your value is internal, you stop seeking it in things, in people, in fleeting applause. You stop needing constant validation. You stop allowing circumstances to dictate confidence. You carry yourself differently. You make decisions differently. You live differently. And the world reacts, sometimes with resistance, sometimes with awe, because the quiet, unwavering power of a person who knows their worth cannot be ignored. It cannot be bought, it cannot be borrowed, and it cannot be taken. It is yours to claim, yours to build, yours to defend, and once you understand this, nothing external can ever shake you. Nothing fleeting can ever define you, and every step you take forward becomes an act of authentic strength, and uncompromising value. Action is the bridge between what you dream and what you achieve. It is easy to sit and think about what could have been, to plan endlessly, to analyze every step, to wait for the perfect moment. But perfection is a myth, and waiting is a thief that steals your life 1 hour at a time. Excuses are comfortable, and they have a way of convincing you that there is safety in inaction, that hesitation protects you from failure, rejection, or disappointment. But here is the truth: the world moves forward, and opportunity does not knock for those who wait politely on the sideline. Action is the spark that ignites change, and the moment you move, you signal to the universe and to yourself that you are ready, that you are willing, that you will not let fear dictate the course of your life. Every person who has achieved greatness started with a single choice: to act, to step forward, to do something when everyone else was still debating. Momentum begins the instant you choose to act, no matter how small, no matter how imperfect, no matter how uncertain. It is not the size of the action that matters, but the courage behind it. And every small step compounds into progress. Every act of effort shapes character. Every attempt builds confidence. You will stumble. You will fall. You will question yourself, and the world will whisper that you are wasting your time. That is the test. The question is not whether you will fail, because failure is inevitable, but whether you will rise, whether you will keep moving when the easy choice is to quit. Excuses are seductive because they feel safe. They sound like reason, like logic, like prudence, but they are nothing more than chains that bind potential. Action, on the other hand, is freedom. It is the only way to prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are more than the circumstances that surround you, that you are not defined by hesitation or fear. Every day that you delay, you trade opportunity for comfort, progress for stagnation, and dreams for regret. But when you act, even imperfectly, even with doubt in your chest, you create energy, you build momentum, you discover strength you didn't know you had, resilience you didn't realize was inside, and courage that only emerges in motion. The path of action is never easy. It demands focus, discipline, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. But it is also the only path that leads to transformation. Sitting and planning, overthinking and rationalizing will never move you forward. Talking about what you will do is not the same as doing it, and thinking about change does not create change. Only action has the power to transform thought into reality, vision into result, potential into achievement. And when you begin, even in the smallest way, you break the spell of excuses. You reclaim control over your life. You prove to yourself that fear is not stronger than resolve, that hesitation is not stronger than courage, that doubt is not stronger than determination. Action is the language of progress, the proof of commitment, the force that transforms intention into reality. It is the heartbeat of growth, the rhythm of champions, the pulse of those who refuse to be defined by circumstance rather than choice. And the moment you take that step, the world begins to respond, doors start to open, opportunities appear, and the energy you have summoned by moving forward carries you farther than you imagined. Resilience is born in the moments when life refuses to bend in your favor, when the path forward is blocked by challenges you never saw coming, when comfort and certainty vanish and leave you exposed to forces beyond your control. It is easy to stand strong when everything aligns, when the wind is at your back, when success seems guaranteed. But true strength is revealed when everything is stripped away, when failure knocks at your door, when disappointment and doubt sit heavy on your chest, and the world seems determined to test the limits of your endurance. Adversity is not punishment, it is the refining fire that separates those who dream from those who achieve, those who survive from those who thrive, those who merely exist from those who leave a mark. Life has a way of shaking foundations, of pushing you beyond what you thought was possible, and in those moments, resilience is the choice to rise again and again, despite pain, fatigue, and uncertainty. The strongest people you have ever met were not born immune to struggle. They were forged in it. They fell, they failed, they were rejected, they were doubted, but they refused to let circumstance dictate the measure of who they were. Every setback became a lesson, every hardship a teacher, every obstacle a call to discover strength that existed only in the potential of being tested. When adversity comes, it is tempting to seek blame, to find excuses, to rationalize quitting. The mind will whisper that you have tried enough, that this battle is too heavy, that tomorrow might be easier. But resilience is the quiet refusal to listen to those whispers. It is the determination to face the storm with the knowledge that what defines you is not the ease of your journey, but the courage of your response. It is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to endure it without losing yourself, without surrendering your vision, without letting your spirit fracture under pressure. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you rise despite pain, every time you continue when quitting seems logical, you build a foundation that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Challenges do not last forever, but the strength you cultivate while facing them endures. Resilience transforms fear into fuel, doubt into determination, and obstacles into opportunities. It teaches patience, discipline, and self-trust, because the world may not cheer for your struggle, it may not acknowledge your effort, and it may not understand the battle you are fighting. But that is irrelevant. What matters is that you continue, that you rise, that you persist, that you show up even when the outcome is uncertain, because resilience is not built for the easy days. It is earned in the nights spent wrestling with doubt, in the mornings when you drag yourself forward despite exhaustion, in the moments when every voice around you doubts, but the one inside says, keep going. Adversity reveals character, sharpens vision, and molds the soul. It strips away superficial comforts and exposes what is real. The resilient person does not crumble when challenged. They discover themselves, they grow stronger, and they emerge capable of handling far more than they imagine. And once resilience is cultivated, it becomes a quiet power that carries you forward through life's storms, a force no failure, no obstacle, no hardship can ever take away. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and think of restriction, of limitation, of a life boxed in by rules and routines. But discipline is freedom disguised as structure. It is the deliberate choice to take control of your actions, your time, your energy, and your focus, rather than letting circumstance, distraction, or desire dictate the course of your life. When you are disciplined, you are no longer at the mercy of fleeting motivation or emotion. You wake up with purpose, you work with intention, and you act consistently even when the world is chaotic, even when the voice inside your head whispers to quit, even when comfort beckons you to settle for less. True freedom is not the absence of responsibility. It is mastery over yourself, mastery over the habits that shape your days, mastery over the choices that will define your future. Discipline is the force that allows you to say no to what does not serve your vision and yes to what builds strength, skill, and character. It is choosing the long term over the immediate, the meaningful over the convenient, the growth that is uncomfortable over the pleasure that is temporary. It requires consistency, commitment, and courage because the world rewards speed, shortcuts, and convenience. But the results that matter, the ones that last, are forged through patient, disciplined effort over time. Every moment of discipline compounds. Every early morning, every extra hour spent sharpening your skills, every time you resist distraction, every time you push through fatigue, you are investing in a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and unshakable. Discipline is not punishment. It is the framework for excellence. It does not confine you. It frees you from the chaos of indecision, from the weight of regret, from the pull of excuses. The person who is disciplined does not wait for opportunity to knock. They create it. They do not wait for inspiration to arrive. They summon it through action. They do not depend on others to set the standard or pace. They define their own. It is in this space of control over self, this mastery of small, consistent choices, that freedom is found. Freedom to pursue ambition without distraction, freedom to rise above circumstance, freedom to live intentionally rather than reactively. Discipline strengthens willpower, builds confidence, and fuels resilience, because the more you show up for yourself, the less the world can shake you. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become manageable. Temptations that once derailed you lose their grip. The chaos around you becomes background noise rather than a cage, and when discipline is internalized, it becomes effortless, a part of who you are rather than something you impose. It is the invisible engine driving excellence, the quiet rhythm beneath every achievement, the unspoken power behind every person who consistently rises above mediocrity. It allows you to walk through life knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what distractions come, no matter what resistance appears, you are capable of staying the course, of delivering on your promise to yourself, of building a life where your freedom is earned, sustained, and unshakable. Growth never happens in comfort. The world will tell you to seek ease, to follow the path of least resistance, to settle for what is familiar, safe, and predictable, but the truth is, growth is forged in the fire of discomfort, in the tension of challenge, in the pressure that pushes you beyond what you thought was possible. Every person you admire, every story of triumph, every achievement worth remembering, has a common thread. It was built in the spaces where comfort ended and courage began. Discomfort is not a punishment. It is a signal, a guidepost pointing toward the next level of your potential. It appears in many forms: the long nights when you work while others sleep, The moments when fear says stop but vision says go, the times when you face criticism or doubt that pierces your confidence, the days when your body aches and your mind wants rest, but your purpose demands effort. Those moments are not obstacles to avoid. They are the gateways to becoming who you were meant to be. Most people run from discomfort because it is unpleasant, because it forces them to confront limitations they wish were not there, because it asks them to surrender instant gratification for long-term reward. But the person willing to step into it, to lean into the tension, to endure the unease, discovers a power that is invisible to those who stay in their comfort zones. Discomfort teaches lessons that ease cannot. It teaches patience, because growth is rarely instantaneous. It teaches resilience, because the mind and body must stretch to reach what is beyond current capacity. It teaches humility, because every challenge reminds you that you are not omnipotent and that mastery is earned, not given. And it teaches courage, because the act of facing what you fear, of doing what you feel incapable of, is courage in its purest form. Life does not hand out growth, it requires effort, risk, and sacrifice. The moments that feel hardest are often the ones shaping the most, the silent hours that no one sees, the repetition, the struggle, the pain. All of it compounds into strength, into clarity, into skill, into confidence that cannot be taken away. When you embrace discomfort, you stop seeing challenge as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity. You stop asking why it is happening to you and start asking what it is preparing you for. You learn that temporary pain is a small price to pay for permanent progress, that short-term unease is the currency for long-term freedom, that the very resistance you wish would disappear is what is shaping your future. The person who chooses discomfort over complacency does not fear the unknown. They welcome it. They understand that nothing meaningful grows in the soil of ease, and that true success, true mastery, true transformation is always uncomfortable, always demanding, and always worth it. And the more you lean into it, the stronger you become, the more capable you are, the more unstoppable your journey becomes, because growth is not a gentle teacher. It is relentless, it is challenging, it is transformative, and it only rewards those willing to endure the heat and step boldly into the space where others would retreat. Consistency is the silent force behind every achievement that lasts. It is easy to be motivated for a day, a week, a burst of inspiration that fuels a few hours of effort, but true results are built not on bursts. They are built on repetition, on showing up when you don't feel like it, on doing the work even when it seems invisible, even when no one is watching, even when progress feels slow or non-existent. The world loves to celebrate the climactic moments, the finish lines, the highlights. But what separates those who succeed from those who only dream is the quiet, relentless commitment to the process. Day after day, step after step, choice after choice. Consistency is not glamorous, it is not flashy, it does not seek attention. It is the invisible hand that guides progress, the rhythm that transforms effort into skill, intention into habit, small actions into monumental outcomes. Every time you choose to push forward when comfort says rest, every time you practice when distractions pull, every time you deliver effort when enthusiasm fades, you are banking momentum, you are compounding power, you are building the foundation of something extraordinary. Results do not appear overnight because consistency is a long game. The small, seemingly insignificant actions accumulate, layer upon layer, until suddenly the growth that was invisible becomes undeniable. Your skills improve, your confidence solidifies, your capacity to endure expands, and the world begins to see what has been quietly developing inside you all along. Inconsistency creates frustration, doubt, and stagnation. It leaves potential unfulfilled and dreams abandoned. But those who choose consistency develop patience, resilience, and trust in their own process. They understand that the marathon is won one step at a time, not in a single sprint. The beauty of consistency is that it does not require extraordinary talent, extraordinary resources, or extraordinary conditions. It requires discipline, focus, and the refusal to be swayed by mood, circumstance, or fleeting motivation. It requires the courage to start again after setbacks, to show up when yesterday felt like failure, to keep going when the immediate results are invisible. And when you compound that effort over weeks, months, and years, the difference becomes staggering. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. What once seemed distant becomes reachable. What once seemed out of grasp comes within your hands because the accumulation of small, consistent choices cannot be ignored, cannot be undone, and cannot be surpassed by those who wait for inspiration rather than creating it. Consistency teaches character, it teaches discipline, it teaches humility because it demands work even when no one notices, and patience because it requires faith in the unseen process. It reminds you that success is rarely an event. It is a habit, a lifestyle, a series of repeated commitments that eventually transform possibility into reality. And when you finally look back, you realize that the person you have become, the achievements you have earned, the impact you have created, is the result of quiet, relentless dedication, the kind of consistency that the world may have overlooked, but that has quietly reshaped your life, molded your character, and propelled you toward greatness that cannot be taken away. Belief is the invisible engine that drives every extraordinary achievement. It is the force that allows a person to stand when the world says fall, to rise when everyone doubts, to keep moving when the path seems impossible. Belief is not just hope or wishful thinking. It is a deep, unshakable conviction in your ability, your purpose, and your vision. It is the quiet voice inside that whispers keep going even when every external sign says stop. The people who accomplish what others call impossible are not immune to fear or doubt. They feel it like anyone else, but they choose to act anyway because their belief outweighs their hesitation. Belief fuels endurance. It carries you through the nights when sleep is fleeting and doubt is heavy. It sustains effort when the world does not applaud, when progress is invisible, and when setbacks threaten to overwhelm. Without belief, talent is wasted, effort is scattered, and potential remains unrealized. With belief, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. It transforms failures into lessons, criticism into fuel, and resistance into opportunity. Belief does not guarantee an easy path. It does not remove struggle, pain, or sacrifice. What it does is give you a reason to keep going when every external circumstance is trying to convince you to quit. It anchors you when the storms rage, when the opposition is relentless, and when every step forward feels like a battle. Belief aligns your mind, body, and spirit toward a single purpose. It is the compass that points to possibility, the fire that lights the dark corners of doubt, the engine that transforms intention into action. When belief is strong, it shapes perception. Challenges are no longer obstacles, but opportunities to prove to yourself how strong you truly are. Fear becomes a tool, not a barrier. Resistance becomes a test, not a stop sign. The smallest victories accumulate into momentum, and momentum reinforces belief, creating a feedback loop that propels you further than you imagine. Belief fuels the impossible because it allows you to see what others cannot, to do what others will not, to persevere when the world has counted you out. It is the foundation of courage, the bedrock of resilience, and the lifeblood of transformation. It teaches patience because great things take time. It teaches discipline because belief demands consistency. It teaches faith because results are not always immediate and the path is not always clear. And when that belief is unwavering, it becomes contagious, attracting like-minded people, opening doors that were previously invisible, and creating opportunities that would have seemed unreachable without the conviction to persist. You cannot buy belief. You cannot borrow it. You cannot wait for it to arrive at the perfect moment. You must cultivate it, feed it, protect it, and act in alignment with it every single day. The moment you do, nothing outside of you can diminish it, and nothing can take away the impossible that belief allows you to reach. Belief is more than a thought, it is action married to conviction. It is choosing to keep walking when the night is long. It is choosing to speak when silence is easier. It is choosing to fight when surrender seems inviting. And the power of belief is such that once it takes root inside you, it reshapes everything. The way you see yourself, the way you approach challenges, and ultimately the way the world responds to you. Because those who believe in themselves relentlessly, who refuse to abandon their vision, who act despite fear, are the ones who turn the impossible into reality. For more videos like this, subscribe to Underdog Motivation and turn on notifications. Keep winning, keep pushing, and never quit.